Emma Carter reached Pine Hollow Lake, carrying an exhaustion that sleep couldn't erase. For months, she'd pretended to be fine after a relationship collapsed, leaving silence, confusion, and a painful feeling of loss. Friends offered advice, time, distractions, moving forward. But none touched the heaviness deep inside her chest. She rented a small cabin by the lake, not for adventure or romance, but for quiet. She needed to hear her own thoughts again. Stepping from the car, the cool scent of cedar and fresh water enveloped her, a calming embrace she hadn't felt in a year. The air felt clean, untouched by pressure. For the first time in months, her lungs fully expanded as she breathed. Her cabin, small and simple with old wooden walls, stood near the forest edge, its porch overlooking the lake. She dropped her bag, drawn immediately to the shoreline by the peaceful shimmer of water reflecting fading sunlight. Pine Hollow stretched endlessly, calm and silver. Its quietness felt unreal after the constant emotional noise she'd endured. Walking toward the dock, she planned to sit alone. But halfway there, she noticed someone already at the far end. A man leaned forward, camera beside him, journal on his knee. He seemed absorbed, as if the lake spoke only to him. Emma almost turned away, but the creaking wood made him glance back. Their eyes met for a brief second. "Sorry," she said quietly, taking a small step backward. "I didn't mean to interrupt." The man smiled, calm and genuine. "You're not interrupting anything," he replied gently. "I'm Liam." "Emma," she answered softly. His voice carried a steadiness that instantly made her feel less tense. There was something comforting about him she couldn't explain. Maybe it was the relaxed way he carried himself. She moved farther down the dock, leaving enough distance, but not enough to completely separate herself. Liam closed his journal and set it beside him while the evening breeze rippled gently across the water. She noticed pages filled with neat handwriting and tiny sketches of trees and mountains. Part of her wanted to ask. Instead, they sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the sunlight fade across the lake. "First time here?" Liam asked after a while, his tone curious without being intrusive. Emma nodded. "Yeah, I just needed to get away for a bit." He simply nodded like he understood without needing details. That alone made her feel lighter. "This place helps," he said quietly. "Whenever life gets too loud, I come here," Emma smiled faintly. "Maybe that's exactly what I need too." Their conversation drifted naturally after that, simple and effortless. They talked about the lake, the trails, favorite books. Emma found herself relaxing more with every passing minute. She hadn't anticipated this warmth. As the temperature dropped, she wrapped her arms around herself, and Liam noticed immediately. "The evenings get colder near the water," he said softly. "You'll probably want a thicker jacket tomorrow." She laughed quietly. "Thanks for the warning." Neither of them spoke for a few moments after that. The lake glimmered beneath the fading orange sky while the trees rustled gently behind them. Emma felt something settle inside her, not excitement exactly, but peace. She didn't understand why meeting Liam felt important. Eventually she stood and told him she should probably head back to unpack. Liam smiled softly. "Maybe I'll see you around." As she walked back, she realized something unexpected. She genuinely hoped she would see him again. The next morning, Emma woke earlier than she intended and decided to walk the trail circling the lake before breakfast. Halfway through the trail, she spotted someone jogging toward her. It took her a moment to recognize Liam. When he noticed her, his face brightened in a way that made warmth unexpectedly spread through her chest. "Morning," he said with an easy grin. "Morning," she replied, trying not to let him notice how happy she suddenly felt. They slowed into an easy walk together while he cooled down from his run. Liam pointed out hidden places around the lake. He wasn't trying to impress her, but the way he noticed details made her want to keep listening. When they reached a split in the trail, he nodded toward the direction of the cafe. "You should try it." Emma hesitated briefly before asking, "Are you going now?" Liam laughed softly. "I wasn't planning to, but I could." The answer made her heart skip in a way she hadn't expected. "Then let's go," she said before she could overthink it. The cafe overlooked the lake through large windows glowing with soft morning light. The scent of coffee and pastries filled the room. Emma noticed how naturally silence existed between them without feeling awkward. Liam never rushed her to speak. Eventually she asked about the journal she saw on the dock. He explained it was filled with photography ideas, travel notes. Nothing exciting, he joked lightly. Just pieces of life I want to remember. Emma studied him carefully. You make ordinary things sound important, Liam smiled faintly. Maybe ordinary things are important. They spent the rest of the day wandering around the lake together, stopping to watch birds or sunlight filter through branches. Emma found herself laughing more than she had in months. Not forced laughter, but real laughter that escaped before she could stop it. Over the next several days their connection deepened quietly and naturally. They met each morning without planning to. Sometimes they sat on the dock talking for hours, other times they walked through wooded trails sharing stories. Liam listened carefully whenever Emma spoke, never interrupting, never trying to fix her feelings. For the first time since her breakup, she didn't feel pressured to hide her sadness or pretend she had healed. Around him she simply existed, and somehow that felt like progress. One cloudy afternoon Emma noticed a change in him immediately. His usual calm warmth felt distant, his smile strained. They walked together quietly for a while before Emma finally stopped near the shoreline. Did I do something wrong? Liam looked surprised. No, not at all. But the heaviness in his expression remained. They sat together on a bench overlooking the water while the wind moved softly through the trees. After a long silence, Liam finally spoke. My mother passed away earlier this year. He explained how his mother used to bring him there every summer when he was a child. They would hike the trails, photograph sunsets, and spend hours sitting on the dock talking about life. After she died, he wasn't sure whether returning to Pine Hollow would comfort him or completely break him apart. The last few days with you helped me forget the grief for a little while, he admitted quietly, but today it all came back. Emma felt tears sting her eyes because she understood exactly what it meant to carry pain so quietly. Without thinking too much, she reached over and gently held his hand, not romantically, just honestly. His fingers tightened around hers almost immediately. You don't have to hide that from me, she whispered softly. The relief on his face was subtle but real. For the rest of the afternoon, Liam told her stories about his mother, about her old film camera collection, her loud laugh, and the way she believed small moments mattered more than big achievements. Emma listened carefully, realizing their connection was becoming something deeper than attraction. It was trust. It was two wounded people slowly allowing themselves to be seen. By the final morning of Emma's trip, the thought of leaving filled her with a sadness she hadn't prepared for. When she walked down to the dock one last time, Liam was already there waiting, hands tucked into his pockets. The moment their eyes met, she knew he felt the same heaviness. You're leaving today, he said softly. Emma nodded. Neither of them smiled at first because the goodbye already hurt too much. She stepped closer while the breeze carried the scent of pine through the air around them. This week changed something for me. Liam looked at her carefully like he was memorizing every detail before she disappeared from his days. For me too, he confessed. I didn't expect to care about anyone again this quickly. Emma's heart tightened at the honesty in his voice because she felt exactly the same. She had arrived at Pine Hollow believing her heart was too damaged to trust anyone again. But somewhere between the quiet mornings, lakeside conversations, shared grief, and gentle laughter, something inside her had started waking up. Liam stepped closer slowly, giving her enough space to pull away if she wanted to. She didn't. His fingers brushed lightly against hers before she finally intertwined her hand with his. The contact felt warm and steady and real. You made me feel alive again, he whispered. Emma swallowed against the emotion rising in her throat. You reminded me I could still feel something good? They stood together silently for a long moment while sunlight danced across the water around them. Emma didn't know what would happen after she left. She didn't know how distance or reality would affect this. But for the first time in a long time, uncertainty didn't scare her. Because this connection wasn't built on dramatic promises or impossible fantasies. It was built on honesty, patience, kindness, and two people finding each other exactly when they needed someone most. When Liam finally asked if they could stay in each other's lives after she left, Emma answered immediately, I'd like that very much. His smile returned then, deeper and warmer than before. As the wind moved gently through the trees, Emma realized some places don't just give you peace. Sometimes they quietly return pieces of your heart you thought were gone forever.